Okay. Number 12, acceptance of letter of resignation of Sam Rush as board vice president, but to remain as a board member of the Board of Education until the expiration of term.
I make a motion to accept Sam's resignation as board vice president, but to remain a member of the board until the expiration of their term.
I'll second.
We have any discussion? Am I calling the
Is
vote?
there discussion?
I have none.
This would probably be one of those then with Sam would not vote on. That's my understanding.
Say that a little bit louder.
My understanding, you likely wouldn't vote on this, Sam,
I think she does get to vote.
She does.
on her own resignation?
Rebecca did.
I think she does.
Since it is.
Until it's affected, she still has her
Okay.
voting right.
Okay, Joey,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Roger,
Aye.
Margie,
Aye.
Sam.
Let me think about that. Yes.
Okay. Pursuant to advice and protocol, we now have a vacancy in the board position of vice president, and we are open for nominations.
Hard to say.
We're on pins and needles here.
Sam,
What's that?
were you starting to say something? You sort of cut off.
Yeah, it's hard to hear. I need them, like Margie, I need you to speak up just a little bit because I can't really hear what you're saying.
We are open for nominations for the position of board vice president.
And I think is this up for a discussion as well?
No, it's just nominations. I mean, what would you like to discuss?
The other offices if we needed to, but in what you put in the agenda item, I can see that consideration of election, fill the office of board vice president and other offices if necessary. So,
Yes, if someone is elected who already holds office, then their office would then become open for nominations. So it's a sort of a domino effect.
So
is there any interest in the others?
Well, we're looking for nominations, so.
well, I'd like to nominate Joey Andrew for vice president.
Okay. We have a nomination, and these do not need to be seconded. Joey Andrews been nominated. Any other nominations?
Anyone else interested? I mean, you don't it's not open for nomination. Are you interested in
Personally, Sam, I am not.
Well, this is interesting.
Ugh. Didn't I read sometime some people can hold two positions?
Yes?
I read that
One
somewhere.
of them is not the vice president, however. The only positions that can be held concurrently are secretary and treasurer.
Thank you.
I believe we are required to have a president and a vice president.
You can call question.
And you might want to elaborate on that, Joey.
As you said, we don't need a second on the nomination.
Right.
So,
Okay. We have a nomination on the floor. We can, since there's only one, we can vote, or if you'd like to do it secretly, we can take a secret ballot.
Joey, you said you weren't interested in the position.
No.
So what if we vote you in? You would resign?
No, I wouldn't do that. I've
Okay.
been president before, and I've been vice president before.
Okay.
I guess, in terms of discussion, I'm not understanding the resignation. I'm not understanding no one wanting to be vice president. I am not, I'm just being frank, I do not know why this is happening. I mean, anything that Sam needed help with, because it seemed overwhelming, whether it's CBT or superintendent's reviews, I am totally willing to help with that. And I would extend the same to you, Joey, if you felt like the position came along with too much responsibility. And if that's the situation, and if that would change how you feel about the position, I should reword that. Would it change?
I do appreciate that offer, and I think it's a great one. It doesn't change it. No.
So you're not, okay, so I'm still wondering why Sam has resigned and why you don't want the position. I don't know. I don't get this.
Well, I think Sam said she had serious personal reasons, and I don't believe it's up to us to question those. And we've accepted her resignation.
Yeah.
So we can call for a vote.
Okay. Joey,
No.
Michelle,
Aye.
Roger,
No.
Margie,
Aye.
Sam,
Here we go. No.
Okay. So we still don't have a vice president. And I think that this would have to go to, I think this has to go for some further investigation, because at this point, I know we have to have a president and a vice president, and if people are not willing to step into the position, then I don't know if there's a precedent for any other alternative at this point. Any further discussion?
There is precedent.
For what? For not having a vice president?
No, that's statutory. There's two precedents. One is to nominate someone else who's already got an office and see if they'll take it and have a vote, which is certainly well within the permissions of the statute, because to the point that you said is if an appointment of other board positions becomes vacant due to the election of a new vice president, that can happen. The easy solution would have been, however, the motion failed. Joey's the only person that doesn't currently hold an office, and he's declined. So what that really means from a precedent standpoint is you start a domino process.
Yes.
Is this when I might use that comment, point of order, and to find out more information? I mean,
Yeah, no one else has resigned a position. There is one position and one position open. I asked for nominations and there were no further nominations. So that means no one else is nominated for the position unless you want to self-nominate.
would you like to be secretary? Is that what? No, I'm not secretary. I'm treasurer. Because there's so many different things that are involved with being a vice president and a treasurer and a secretary. And I'm being completely sarcastic there, because there's no difference other than if the president is gone, the vice president will step in. So would you be more comfortable in a position, my position, as treasurer, if I self-nominated?
I'll be honest, I hadn't even thought of that in that position. treasurer is working with Mark. Mark and I have a great relationship, understanding finances and what's going on within the board, and looking at the budget itself. So,
You might be really good at that.
maybe.
Yeah, I mean, considering your experience, your relationship with Mark, and yeah. Well, I'd like to nominate Michelle Dover to be vice president.
All right, we have a nomination on the table. Michelle Dover, vice president. Any discussion? And Debbie, would you take the vote?
Joey,
No.
Michelle,
Aye.
Roger,
No.
Margie,
Aye.
Sam,
No.
This
I think
this certainly appears to be gamesmanship, and I think that this has gone just about far enough. We are not getting anywhere with this. I think we need to continue with the agenda. We can postpone this to another meeting, but this is waste of our time. So,
Sam, did you have something to say?
Well, I saw that Margie, you posted on the end some of the Colorado revised statutes about the officers and really how everything is elected, putting it all down in there, and then how each, the president and vice president are posted for a 2-year term.
that's correct.
And so I think the thing that I don't think it's gamesmanship what you're seeing is that I think we would like to have a discussion of perhaps all the officers at this point. I know for me, I don't want to hold any position because of the situation that I'm in. And that leaves the four of you sitting there tonight to reevaluate board officer positions that I think should be discussed.
Sam, I asked this question very clearly of CASB, and their response was, the president and vice president shall each hold office for a term of 2 years and until a successor has been elected and qualified. Whenever a vacancy occurs in either office, the remaining members of the board shall elect a successor to fill the vacancy for the unexpired term. Given this language, there is no statutory authority to conduct an entire re-election because the vice president plans to resign.
There's also no statutory limitation on the board calling for that, as has been done in Aurora Public Schools just recently.
I am quoting directly from the advice I got from CASB, Roger,
I understand.
and this has got to stop. We are supposed to be working together as a board. We are not supposed to have personal agenda, and that's what this feels like. I think we need to move on.
Make a motion to consider the election of all officers for the Steamboat.
You are out of order. It is against statutory.
I'll second that.
I am sorry. It is out of order. We are not considering it.
We have a motion as well as a second.
We are not considering it. It is against advice, and I am not. It is against statutes. There is no reason to
Within
conduct a
statutes,
re-election.
School district can revisit past motions.
No, not elections. We are elected for 2 years.
Is there any chance that this could be moved to discuss an executive session?
No.
No.
This should have been discussed when we talked about communication. This is a communication problem. People need to put their cards on the table. You need to discuss things at the end of the night. You need to be open. And instead of talking about how we communicate with the public, we should be talking about how to communicate with each other. And this is just a pathetic way of communicating. I have no idea what you're thinking because you won't tell us other than playing games. I'm so disappointed. I really am.
Well, I think for me, I don't see it as a gameplay. I see, for me personally, I need to step down. But what I would like to see as a board is a professional discussion, and at times it feels not that way at all.
Sam,
So,
I agree with Sam.
Sam, you have every right to resign a position, but that right does not abridge anyone else's right to stay in elected office.
However, the board has the ability to make motions and do things.
Not against the bylaws or the statutes.
This is not against statute.
It is against statutes. And I will get a specific legal opinion on it, Roger, so we can discuss it at the November 21st meeting. We need to move on. Item 13 is board member updates, comments, and debrief. Joey?
I had the opportunity to meet with Brandon LaChance and discuss some of the new exciting things that are going on within his school. A couple of things of note, summer school program has actually lowered remediation rates and overall reading, which is very nice to see. I'm not saying that theirs was exquisitely high, but I'm wondering if that is something that would be a practice to help us. We also discussed heavily the Education Fund Board renewal, percentage of money allocation, as he does draw money directly from the district's assumption there as well. Had the opportunity to go to the Steamboat Springs High School football game. It was interesting to talk to all the different parents there and just to hear different varying perspectives, as well as have been approached by a couple of different coaches outside of that program as well. We'll get the changes and modifications made for the upcoming policy. When it comes to plan for future meetings, it was mentioned the possibility that there are parents within the community that are struggling with reaching out to some district personnel. And I do wonder what is the best practice in that manner so that we can maintain our appellate court status, almost if you will, going back to our purposes for being a school board, while making sure that we are still hearing what those parents need to say and feel that they need to be advocating and cannot do so directly to the district. Additionally, as a side note, Margie, you and I have had conversations at length, and you act as if those conversations haven't happened. And that truly is bothering to me. And so if there's gamesmanship here, to me, we need to have an honest conversation in public about general board operations and about public comment and about circling out individuals that may or may not have the same views as members of this board. Additionally, as a board chair, it is not your responsibility to be the mouthpiece of the board before the directors have spoken. I sincerely would appreciate it if you would let the other directors speak before you share your opinions. You are the chair of authority here, but when you don't let other people speak, it truly seems that you are a board of one. And you and I have had this conversation in private. And so if there's gamesmanship, it's because you're not owning up that we've had these conversations. We have.
When we talk about communication, I'm like shocked that you're saying this. Because as a board member, I think I should know that you feel that way before we're having this like majorly dysfunctional conversation here. I didn't know you felt that way. I mean, when we talk about communication, that's what we should be talking about. If there's something about her leadership she needs to do better, then I think we should all comfortably talk about it. And I mean, I don't know about your private conversations, but it seems like this should have been addressed a long time ago if there was some underlying
Our
bad
conversations
feelings.
dated back to Casby the last time when we had conversations. We've gone to Orem and we've had conversations about board.
Conversation, a single one. And I will tell you, Joey, that when I try and call you, you don't always return my phone calls. So it's difficult to have conversations with someone who doesn't return their phone calls.
And it's difficult to actually have conversations when it feels like it's constantly a sleight of hand in a board meeting. When you say, well, we don't have this policy, so I'm still going to use the one that the board didn't agree on. There's several examples about that. And I don't know if this is truly the time to rehash that all out. I think there's a deeper problem here, but...
And have
When
I
you're-
asked for feedback?
I'm not
Multiple
gonna provide you
times?
feedback in that manner.
I
I told you that.
I asked you in any way, shape, or form you wanted to provide
And
it.
I have given you feedback.
Okay, well,
Honestly, I worry that it's checking a box off of a magic form so you can say, I asked for feedback. Because I don't see any change.
well, if I don't hear anything from you, then it's difficult to know what's in your mind.
When, maybe this is me making assumptions that I shouldn't make, but when communications were on last week and we had all these choices of things we could discuss, I thought that's what we were going to discuss, is more like our relationship as a board. And then Sam very much wanted to talk about something in context, something, to do with the public, and the communication changed. I would suggest that we have a workshop and it be about communication with each other. Is that an unreasonable thing to request a year later?
I don't think it's unreasonable at all, but we have to know what the motives are.
Maybe we need a coach or the Inside Out initiative or...
I have one more year on the board, and there are so many things that I really want to get done. And so for me, it's about efficiency and efficacy and really keeping the focus on establishing those goals, those norms, and moving forward with that. And if there's an assumption that there's this underlying personal agenda, it's only because we're serving all as volunteers on this board to serve the community, to serve the public. That's our agenda. There's nothing else that's political or personal. And if we keep that as the norm and the focus, then our communication can be around those things. It's when we get derailed for that I get really frustrated with. And I don't want to spend more valuable time that I don't have on meetings about communication where it's just like, look, can we just move forward here? To me, that is just time not well spent.
Well, a simple thing like re-electing a vice president seemed to stymie us for a good half hour tonight. And that doesn't seem to be the business of the district.
I
So,
submit that what you heard was 3 board members are struggling with your leadership. And it's up to you to decide whether you respect that or not, and do with that as you so choose.
It is a completely disrespectful way to work together as a board.
I'm in agreement with Michelle. I'm sure there's no surprise there, Roger, because this has been going on since last year. Despite attempts to increase communication with people leading workshops, with my asking for requests, with my contacting board members, it doesn't seem to have an effect. There is an agenda here, and it's not one that meets the needs of the district.
I'll restate, I think you have 3 board members who disagree.
Well, that may be the case. I'll be happy to discuss that with you at any time when there are specifics and not generalities.
Specifics don't matter.
Yes, they do.
And as an example, have you called on any of the other board members yet to talk about debrief and plan for future meetings? No. It's the board. It's the
Michelle,
I'm interrupting.
Roger, you,
No, you
and Sam.
To dialogue and
No.
directly push back against them.
Because you're making statements about me, to me, that are erroneous. Like we've had multiple conversations, and we have not.
I have a phone record.
Is there anything else for comments, updates, and debrief?
I'm not really in the mood to talk about anything else. Doesn't seem productive tonight. Maybe we need another night. And I'd hope that we could come together and be an example. I mean, we have this amazing school system. We have these amazing people that are with our kids all day. They represent Steamboat so much better than I think that we are. It's embarrassing to be a part of this. We need to be representing Steamboat in a positive way. I mean, I'm getting too upset to even communicate how I feel about this.
Well, I think that was the oath we all took, to represent the district and its needs, not have an interpersonal war here. And I have made it clear that I am happy to make adjustments and to change, but I don't hear anything except an attempt to have a total re-election, just out of the blue.
It's not out of the blue for me, and I hope you all hear that it's a struggle for me to make the time with my regular full-time job and the things I'm dealing with. So please hear that. And we've got an election results tomorrow, our mill levy. We think moving forward with, and that's where our focus needs to be.
Agreed. This is just
It's
detouring
agreed,
us.
Sam.
Yeah, this is silly.
Anything?
Well, I don't know, but it's definitely something that I don't know.
Do we have any further issues for plan for future meetings?